let's go to tier list maker and get this rolling. New hero tier list, and we're going to filter it. We're only going to look at light and dark 4-star units. You can't select free spirit Tieria, guys. She's a free unit. You can't actually pick her from the recall, so we'll just stick her at the very bottom. So we're going to do a who to ML4 Selector. ML4 Selector tier list. So, Angel of Light Angelica. Angel of Light Angelica. I'm going to put Angel of Light Angelica solidly in the A tier. She used to be an S tier unit. She was everywhere in RTA, but her uses there have fallen back quite a bit. She is still a powerhouse unit. I don't think she's a must-have anymore. She's nice in PvE, especially for fighting the Queen. But predominantly her uses in the game are to make your enemy miserable. If you don't have one, I think it's worth picking her up. But I don't think she is quite meta-defining super tier like she used to be a year ago. We got Fat Cat. Some people are going to argue with me on this, but I think Fat Cat is not all that. Fat Cat's a nice unit. It's fun to have that evasion, but second here. Let's do a 4-tier tier list. It's nice to have that boost to evasion, but I don't think he is somebody you're going to reach for all the time. Same with Assassin Sid. You can build him really fast and murder an opener, but we're seeing fewer and fewer openers, and he relies on penetration, and I think anybody that's fought against what's her nut, Ilanov knows how difficult that is. He requires really, really good gear, and there are just better options, I think, for an opening nuker, but he can be used, right? He can be used. Assassin Kali is basically, you ordered Assassin Sid from Wish.com and they sent you Assassin Kali. She is pretty much the same unit, but slower. And it makes her damn near unusable. She takes a tremendous amount of, gear to make her fast, and why not just build Assassin Sid? Bad Cat Armin. Bad Cat Armin really, really needs a buff, right? Her kit is so interesting and neat, but I don't see it working in 2025 because it didn't work in 2024 or 2023 either. Benevolent Roman. Benevolent Roman has made a huge comeback recently. Benevolent Roman is all but immune to Zeo. He is one of the strongest Zeo counters. If you use any skill that pushes the enemy back, he's got an EE that will push him up. And he can't be pushed back. So he is a hard counter to Zeo, and a lot of people are running him with Harsetti because if you try to Zeo cleave a Harsetti team, Broman can screw you up on that. So he is really, really good in Arena. He is meta on Guild War and Arena defense, and he has some RTA uses. You don't see any use for him outside of those PvP angles, but I think it warrants him a place right at the top of the A tier. Blaze Dingo is legitimately one of the best dog walkers in the game. Does damage, AoE defense break, heals, but he is so hard to build. There are 3 stars with better base stats than poor Blaze Dingo. His self-imprint is percent defense, and his defense is so low that flat defense is better on him than percent defense. This guy really, really needs an improvement. Some people tried cleaving him with them back in the day, and that was amazing. I saw Robusto use him in Hall of Trials, and that blew me away. But if you're early game, he is one of the better dog-walking units, one of the better units to put in front, especially on those repeat fights, those special event fights where if your team gets hurt, they stay hurt going into the next fight, like Auto Tower, Automaton Tower, and Side Stories. He is actually really, really, really good with that. So I'm not quite ready to say he's trash tier because he is a good unit to put on your team to keep your team healthy and help progress you through harder repeat stages. Bloodblade Corinne is not only the top of the 4-star list, she might be the strongest unit in the game, and I say this staring Harsetti and Luna and Ilanov and Senya right in the eye. Right in the eye. Isn't it crazy that the best unit in the game is a 4-star high school girl with a sword? I think this is a unit you need on your account if you want to play any competitive aspect of this game. You want to play RTA, you need BBK. You want to win an arena, you need BBK. You want to have good defense in arena, you probably need BBK. You want to do Guild Wars or have a good defense on Guild Wars? Surprise, it's BBK. And also her ability to self-heal on her S1. There's a lot of fights. You can just turn her skills on and watch her auto a lot of PvE stuff because she constantly self-heals and self-CR pushes with her S1. So yeah, top tier unit. And if you don't have her, you get her. She's currently on banner. Be careful about spending your mystics on her if you are planning on doing a recall. You can pick her up through the recall, but if you pick her up with your mystics, hey, you've opened up this entire playing field to a different unit you can pick up from your recall. There was a time when Celestial Mercedes was so fun to cleave in arena, and now she's arguably the worst 4-star in the game. I'm sure somebody out there is going to tell me how they still blow people up with Celestial Mercedes, but fam, I'm not seeing it. She needs something big time because right now she has 0 jobs other than looking pretty. Challenger Dominion was my most sought after 4-star unit back in the day. I really felt like I was being left out because I didn't have CDOM on my account, but so many things are throttling, CR pushing. She's really good right now for a fun cheese one-shot of Nightmare Queen using Ainz, but there are just better ways to handle that fight. I'm sorry, guys. She really doesn't have a place in the game right now. I'm putting her down on the bottom list. Champion Zerato, a lot of people say is in the shitter, but he's actually pretty good into Harsetti, and he lets you still handle a lot of PvE content that you couldn't handle before. Champion Zerato is still a strong PvE unit, and if you build him with Giga gear, he is actually pretty usable into Harsetti. Not so much so that I think he deserves a spot up here by any stretch, because God, his stats are almost as bad as Blaze Dingo's, but good enough. I'm going to slap him down solidly in the B tier. Crescent Moon Rin has one job and one job only, and that is to help you cheese the Euphine Labyrinth. I think the Euphine cheese is strong enough that it warrants mentioning her up here, because there is really no other unit that does what she does when it comes to stealing the buff and applying it to your whole team. The only other option you have is Rimuru, who is a collaboration unit. So I think she's a solid B tier unit just because how important charm farming is. Oh, and for those of you who are thinking, yeah, but he can't counter Harsetti. Yeah, he can't. But the very next person that hits him, he will counter and throw all that shit back. Unless he has the anti-counter debuff, of course, but that's why you run him with a unit like Angel of Light Angelica to cleanse the anti-counter buff, and then he starts throwing everything back. Simple as that. Crimson Armin. Although Crimson Armin has fallen off a lot in the game, I still think she is a top-tier unit. She will let you clear abyss floors you couldn't clear before. She mitigates the hell out of everything. And she can give gold shields, which are so important to surviving. She spams immunity. I think anybody that doesn't think Crimson Armin is a top-tier unit, both for handling RTA as well as climbing through Abyss, really hasn't explored her kit and what it can do for them. Fighter Maya. I'm going to get some blowback on this, guys. She's not a real unit anymore. She's just not. Yeah, she's okay into Harsetti because she self-cleanses with her passive, and she can drop some nukes when her health gets low. I don't think she brings enough to the team to solve all of the problems we're out there facing today. If you have success with Fighter Maya and you want to pick this thick automatic doll up, you go for it. I know there's a one-shot team with her in for killing Hell Queen. There's still easier ways to do it. I just can't in good conscience say she's Selector worthy, so I'm putting her down there. General Purgus, once upon a time, was up here, right? General Purgus was the way to farm Wyvern. And then a 3-star unit called Mui came out and totally stole his thunder, and now he doesn't do anything except possibly to let you trap or deal with Zeos, and even that's fewer and fewer. So yeah. Great Chief Kwana is really nice into Katie's 13, but there are other units that are just better into Katie's 13, so yeah. I don't think she's worth the pickup either. You would think Guider Aether, a unit that can CR push, a unit that can attack buff, a unit that can heal that's not a Soul Weaver, a unit that's a mage that can heal, carry tags book, and attack buff, and you think this guy would be everywhere, but unfortunately, he doesn't have the damage to be meta anymore, and he doesn't have the speed to go first anymore. There was a time when I cleaved my way to the Edge of Emperor with Guider Aether, and unfortunately that time has passed. All of his skills piss off all of the people who are on Elbrus, and he just winds up getting your team killed. Inferno Kawazu would be down here except for the fact that he absolutely murders Navy Captain Landy, and that alone puts him at the top of B tier. You will find uses in Guild Wars for this guy left and right. He's got a unique kit that lets you destroy Janua teams, lets you destroy Landy teams. He's just an all-around good pickup for niche dealing with Guild Wars. Infinite Horizon Acades used to be down here, but now that we have Harsetti and New Moon Luna out, I think she pulls her weight right up here into the meta tier. If you want to be able to handle RTA, if you want to be able to handle especially arena defenses, especially Harsettis and Lunas, I think you want an Infinite Horizon Acades on your team. Very solid pickup. Kitty Clarissa, while formerly the queen of PvE, mostly because of Holo Trials, her usefulness has kind of dropped off a little bit. Units like Camilla, units like Fire Ken, a lot of units have started getting dual attack. A lot of units having built-in dual attack have taken a lot of Kitty's stuff away. I still think she's a powerhouse PvE unit and worth putting down here. She really doesn't have any PvP uses at all. Nobody argue with me on this. Last Piece Corinne is heckin' amazing. Her ability to punch through evasion, her ability to one-shot and be built with just about any opener. The only reason that you would consider not picking up Last Piece Corinne is you simply just don't have the gear to build her. If you have the gear to build her, she is one of the strongest 4-star units out there, and that's a hill I'm just going to die on. Sorry, guys. I think in a world of Lunas and Harsettis, you need a Moon Bunny Dominial on your account if you plan to do anything in RTA at all. If you don't touch RTA at all, her value plummets. But for RTA, and to a lesser extent for Guild Wars, really, really solid unit. Hey, Naomi! Thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Roaming Warrior Leo. Yeah, I tell you what, even though Roaming Warrior Leo exists, still better than poor Celestial Mercedes, but only by a little bit. If he gets a Speedy E, or I don't know, he is a little bit of a buff away from being greatness, right? From being a good supportive unit, but right now he's just still not really draftable. Yo, my girl Shadow Rose. Shadow Rose hits the B tier for one really solid reason, right? She is the easiest way to get a near perfect guaranteed clear rate Banshee. With this girl on your team and basic simple gear and really easy to get at units, you can have a 98% clear rate Banshee 13 one-shot. Now, if you can build a 100% clear rate Banshee 13 one-shot without Shadow Rose, then her value goes away. But for relatively new players, and let's be honest, people looking at tier lists are typically relatively new players. For those people, I think Shadow Rose is an important pickup for their account. Shooting Star Acades, I'm going to put her right beside Crescent Moon Rin, because she gives the immortality that you need to Euphine to cheese the Labyrinth, and I think that's really, really important in this game to be able to get those artifact or those ring and neck charms. And she's a resurrection unit who gives immortality. There are more uses than just that. Sinful Angelica is probably one of the most impactful. I'm going to put her right behind BBK, though BBK is the most impactful PvP-related unit. Sinful is probably one of the most impactful PvE units. You want a Wyvern 13 one-shot, get her. You want to be able to clear dual attack inside of adventures, get her. You want to stop people from raising, get her. You want to use her in early game arena, worthwhile pickup. Tempest Surin. Tempest Surin is similar to Last Piece Corinne, right? She is a good, solid damage dealer, especially on Alexa's basket. She's really, really solid. Her damage, yeah, I'm just going to put her up here. We don't have a lot of 2-star damage or 4-star damage deals, right? It's BBK, Last Piece Corinne, and Tempest Surin, and that's about it for our like full-on main DPS units. So I think she's a worthwhile pickup. Troublemaker Crozet. Man, Divine's going to hate me for this one, but he is a really solid mitigation knight. He would be up here if it wasn't for the fact that we have dozens of other better mitigation knights. Most of those mitigation knights are 4 and 5 star, but if you pick them up and you're just starting out, you can use Crozet for a lot of stuff. I love the fact that he has a stun on his S3, that he can CR push. That does give him some niche usages. I'm going to slap him right down here in the B tier for niche uses, right? We're talking must-have on your account tier, strong to have on your account tier, niche use to have on your account tier, and then just not really usable at all, right? Wanderer Silk is a speed imprint. I don't think there's any world where you don't rate speed imprints as being important in RTA, but also in PvE. Her ability to push back, her ability to dual attack, her ability to CR manipulate and silence, just a really solid unit to have on your account. She lets me turn my Banshee team, my guaranteed Banshee team, into a guaranteed Golem team. So there are some PvE uses for her. Sid gets a lot of hate, but he is actually a really, really good unit, especially going into the meta we're going into where control is so strong. I would recommend picking up a Sid if you have one. His voice lines are hilarious, and just use him. You will find that you have a lot of fun with this unit, and he is remarkably more usable than people say. Watcher Shuri is another speed imprint. Unlike Silk, he is a lot better in PvE. We'll slide him right up here to the front of the A tier because of his ability to help with one-shot teams and his ability to surgically remove an enemy from the team as long as penetration resistance isn't in play. Don't take him into Ilanov, guys. But he is a really nice cleave support unit. Sometimes it's worth saying I'll take the 10 speed over the 14 speed because of the things that Shuri can do in the fight. Okay, guys, we're down to the last two, and these are the mystery meat ones, right? Right now, Furious is the worst unit in the game. Right now. And I'm going to leave him here because I don't know what his buffs are going to bring. His buffs could slide him up the list. I doubt they'll slide him up here, but they could change his pole position. I'm looking at the buffs and I'm just not seeing it. He will definitely be better, but I don't think he'll swim in this meta, but maybe he will. And that is fundamentally good advice. You will be able to do this recall for about 2 weeks. You will have plenty of times to watch the people use Furious and see if he is good or not before you decide whether or not to get him. I still think he's going to be trashed here. I'm going to leave him right there at the end just because I don't know where to put him. I can't rate him compared to any other heroes because I don't know what he's actually going to be like after his patch. So I'm going to leave him here. And then you guys can decide if there's somebody else you want to get, or if you want to wait and see if Furious's buffs make him good. Same thing with Auxiliary Lots, right? He used to be up here for PvE. The nerfs are removing his usage from PvE entirely, and I would be tempted to put him down here, but he will still have some niche PvE uses, right? You're not going to be able to spam use him like before, but he will have some uses. I think he'll still be good for clearing Zeo floor 1010. But we'll have to see. The big question is, will his changes make him RTA viable? That's definitely what they're angling for. They're trying to make him into an RTA unit. It's clear with the exploiting weak spots, with the defense break on his S3. They're trying to bring him into a PvP meta. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think there's any way this guy's going to be usable, and effectively I think they're just removing him from the game. But especially if you only have one Oxlots, maybe wait and see. What if you recall this guy and he winds up being the most broken thing ever in the game? Unlikely, but it's possible. So I'm going to leave him right here with the, if he is removed, if what happens to him is what I think is going to happen, he's just going to have niche use Remember, this is our must-have tier. This is our strong use tier. This is our niche use tier. And this is our no real use tier, right? And all those people saying, oh, I use these units all the time. No, okay. If you really, really love the unit through gear, you can force it, right? But I do think he'll still have some niche use. Whether or not he's better than this, we'll have to see. And again, maybe wait until after the patch goes live. Give it 4 or 5 days, get past that honeymoon period when everybody's just playing Morton, Shooting Star Arcade, or Silverblade Aramentha, and see if anybody's able to make use out of the new Oxalots and out of the new Peacemaker Furious, and then you can do your Oxalots recall, then you can get your Selector ticket, and then you can make your choice. Unless you don't have BBK, then you just get BBK. Let's not be crazy here. There is no world where Oxalots or Furious could ever possibly be good enough to raid against these top 4 units. So, this is my tier list. This is my recommendation. You can't select Free Spirit Tieria because she's a free unit. This is my recommendation. Top to bottom, left to right. In a vacuum, not knowing anything else about your account, just start and go left to right, top to bottom, and just pick whichever unit you're missing first. Are there any ML4s that it's nice to have 2 of? Some people like the idea of having 2 BBKs. Some people like the idea of having 2 BBKs, but be aware that's a heavy, heavy Molagora investment, right? Making an ER one and a pure damage one, it's a heavy ER investment, and there are so precious few occasions where you're going to reach for one instead of the other. I think this is like whale tier luxury, and I don't recommend it. Just go full nuke or go full ER. Trying to build both will really strain your account for gear, and you'll probably struggle building other units. Counter build versus DPS build versus speed build. There's a lot of versions, and all of them take like 30 Molagora. I'll leave it down here, but I don't recommend it. Sinful Angelica is totally worth having multiples. You'll want one for Guild Wars. You'll want one for PvE. I've actually got 3 of them so that if my Guild War one dies, I've got a backup one. I think. And plus, she takes no Molagora, like 0 Molagora. She works at level 50 just as good as she works at level 60. Don't need a lot to build her. Hades, no. Dominion, no. Crimson, no. Broman, no. There are a world where some people build an RTA Watcher and some people build a one-shot Watcher. I think once you start farming Rift and hunt one-shot teams are out there, the value goes down, but you can build a fast Watcher and then a slow rage set Watcher to help you do hunts. That's viable. I have seen some people build multiple Angel of Lights. They'll have a super, super fast Angel of Light, and they'll have a really, really slow Angel of Light. So depending on how the enemy drafts, they can pick the one that's going to mess with the enemy the most, right? They pick Laya or Mediator Queric. You grab your slow AOL and put them into an arms race. They don't pick any of that. You're wanting to go into a cleave unit, you can pick your fast one, and then she can do her stuff and interrupt cleave. So there is a viable reason for 2 AOLs. Much like Watcher Shuri, I've seen people build multiple Wanderer Silks. Some run them really, really fast for RTA use. Some run them really, really slow for some PvE one-shots, but it's fewer and far between. But again, she doesn't take any Molagora, so not a bad idea. Tepasurin, Corinne, no, 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 don't need that, don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. Don't need that, don't need that, don't need that. No, 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 and no. So yeah, there's your, it would be nice to have 2. So if you've got all of the 4 stars in the game and you're just looking at picking up a dupe, I would consider this bottom tier, again, left to right. She could move up to the front if you have got the gear and the Mola. Building one of these is hard enough. Building 2 of these will really put a strain on your account. You will probably not be able to build some other unique unit because you put that gear on your second BBK. And ask yourself, is it worth it? Am I really going to benefit from having 2 of them? Maybe try to build 2 of them and see if you can do it without jacking your entire account up. Make sure you have the Molagora. Otherwise, I'm hesitant to even put it down here. But some people really like the idea of having... I think counter BBK is amazing. I think ER BBK is amazing. I think damage BBK is amazing. And I think the places each of those are used are the same places. There's only very niche circumstances where one seriously benefits you over the other. And you've got to really decide, do those niches happen often enough? Are you playing the game often enough where you're going, man, if I only had an ER BBK in this fight. Man, if I only had counter going into this fight. If you're one of those people, then go for it. But otherwise, save your Mola, save your gear, build better stuff. This is luxury. This is whale tier. So let me know what you think of the tier list. I'm pretty pleased with it. I think this is decent advice. So let me know what you think in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the videos linked below to see how the recall will work. Full details on what you get from the recall and how it works and what you need to do to be ready for it. And I will catch you guys next time. Have a great one, Epic 7.